Okay, so I did promise you some good news. So I've got another timeline behind me. Let's see how this one goes. This one will be a bit quicker, okay? So granted you watched the bad news, you got to let that digest. And then when you're ready for more, you come back for more. Indigestion's terrible. Okay. All right, so we talked about the CESTUQV 1666. We talked about the birth certificate fraud. It's an estate. You are the debtor on the estate. There's estimations around your estate's worth about $250 million. As the debtor of the estate, you pay the fines, you pay the bills. Your status is dead at sea. You're a person. And each person's value is around about 8 million a head. That's why the government's like bringing in lots of immigrants and they're not looking after them because they get the money for the head of the person. This means that you're bound by this government, this jurisdiction, these laws, the legislation, the directives, whatever you want to call them. They legally own you, your property, your car, your house, your land, your blood, your DNA, and your children. All right, they can do whatever they want because you're not living. You're dead. You're a person. You are the debtor on the estate. When you go to court, you are trespassing on the dock. It's a dry dock ship. Remember, it's maritime law, remember? Contract law. And it's all fiction. It's written in capital letters, which is dog Latin. So think about the amount of contracts that you've got with your name on it in block letters. There is remedy within this fraudulent system if you're smart, if you know the right people, if you get the information, and that is doing something like filing the UCC in America, which is the Uniform Commercial Code. There's the filing of the PPSR in the Australian government website, which is the Private Property Security Register. That protects your property. That takes your official status on your estate from debtor to creditor. So you become a secured party creditor, you become executor or executrix of your estate, and when you go to court, you say you are the principal beneficiary of the estate. The estate is your last name. This has been disqualified, but people are finding remedy. You don't have to pay your fines. You get the Treasury to pay them. You learn how to discharge debt. You write promissory notes based on the bills of exchange. That's cash tender. So you can have lots of fun with that. Okay, so in 1999, as I said, Russell-J, Gould, and David Miller, they captured the US flag. It was vacant because the bankruptcy was over, and they actually saved America from going back into debt again. They created a new postal system, a really amazing one that's based on an infinity loop where no one goes into debt. It was set to roll out at 10 a.m. on September 11th, 2001, and then they blew it up. But Russell created new weights and measures, a new periodic table, he created new grammar, and created a language flag. He is Commander-in-Chief of our planet. He is essentially our pharaoh. He's also Commander-in-Chief of the Army, Navy, military, the postal system, the shipping lanes. He is Vatican key holder. David Wynn Miller has since passed away. It was a complex relationship. You can dig into it. And basically, he has been the biggest kept secret of the last 20 years. So David Wynn Miller cracked the mathematical code on the language about 1997, 98. And Russell is the creator of quantum grammar and quantum banking. They are copyrighted materials that have been filed. He's also Chief Judge of the Supreme Court of America since 2004. So the capital letters is called dog Latin. It's kind of a little bit like legalese, the stuff lawyers learn. I have a law degree from many years ago, and they just teach you how to write an adverb verb. Your obligation is to the court, not to the person. When you take your bar, Black's Law Dictionary states that a human being is a monster. So don't call yourself a human. You're a living soul, all right? And you're not a person either. Well, you are according to that over there. So all of the laws and the legislation are all open to interpretation by judges. How long has this been going on? Around about 8,500 years. Very definitely, last 2,000 years. Remember, Jesus had the Vatican keys. They built the Vatican. They changed all those laws. The last 500 years, they've been going for it. 1666 is when the CESTUQV, that brilliant idea they came up with, they made it more. And if you think about it, back years ago, 500 years ago, many people couldn't read and write, so they couldn't understand the laws. The last 100 years, they've really kicked in with the IMF Bank, Rothschilds. And so the story is that Rothschild had courier pigeons that he knew 24 hours before Napoleon made his decision, and Rothschild cleverly bought up the stock market and became the richest man on the planet. And he insisted that everyone is taught the wrong grammar. It is a bitter pill to swallow, but it is one that must be swallowed. So if you've got a PhD, you've still got a reading level of 2. Mind you, professors of English know the right ones. And this keeps us enslaved and really stupid. There are remedies. You hear people talking about common law. And common law's great. It's do no harm. It's maintain contracts. You hear people refer to things like the Lieber Code that was signed in 18-something by in America to do with the war. If police pull you over now, you ask them 3 times for their business card and they don't give it to you, they're committing a war crime. Nuremberg Code after World War II, they hung all those people that said, I was just doing my job. You hear people talk about the Magna Carta, the Constitution, all these kinds of things. And the latest thing is the swing towards crown and sovereign. Yes, crown relates to, going back to other constitutions, the Imperial, the St. Edward's. Yes, we mentioned the Federation flag for the veterans. They talk about being sovereign and free. If you're free, can I have you? Because I've got a ton of housework that needs doing. You actually don't want to be free. You actually want to be contracted honourably, because we live in maritime laws. They're actually shipping laws, and we're actually vessels. That's how they class us dead at sea. Our vessel holds our soul. And you will hear very esoteric things like, what is your standing? You need to know your standing. Who are you? It's very deep, but for you to understand that, you have to understand all of this, all of history, and then some. And then you start to get a bit of an idea. So what I really want you to understand is venues, right? So planet Earth is a venue, right? A court, that's a venue. Laws and legislations, that's a venue. That's a jurisdiction, that's a venue. There are only 2 venues on planet Earth, one of fact and one of fiction. And all of that is fiction, right? I love asking this question because it just leaves people completely dumbfounded, like a deer in headlights. How do you convey a fact? Oh God, I'm sorry, I know you've got to use your brain for that one. If you don't know, you actually cannot read or write. Did you know it takes 13 words to create a sentence of fact? I have 3 degrees and a master's. This has been a bitter pill to swallow. I cannot believe I was taught the wrong grammar. So syntax, the mathematical code that David Wynn Miller cracked, is the mathematical equation on how it exposes the fraud in the grammar. Quantum grammar is written fact. Remember the 13 words? A quantum grammar sentence can be read in both directions and mean the same thing. It is not open to interpretation. All right? Spoken word cannot be qualified. It is written contract only. Now, You can move from this fiction venue over to this venue of fact. And you do that by taking a live life claim. It's kind of like a proof of life document. It eradicates the SESTQV, it enables you to make claims, and it enables you and gives you permission to use a copyrighted, trademarked syntax and quantum grammar. What it actually does, so it only costs the self-mailer $6 and 10 ounces of silver for the documents. There are certain people authorized to do this. You have to be careful who you do it with, because there are people doing this that are unauthorized. All right? So what it essentially does is it pays for your freight and cargo on your vessel, your blood and your bones. It's called your bills of lading. And you become a postmaster of your vessel. You get to choose where and what happens to your vessel. Because many of you may not know that the postal system is the highest authority in the land. Now, come over here. So when you start to learn syntax and quantum grammar, you start to understand that, remember when we were at school and an adjective was a describing word and a noun was a name and a verb was a doing word? Yeah, no, it's all a lie. You know, dictionaries, yep, they're a lie too. And so you start to realise, and this is what we've learnt, if anything, with what's gone on, is that all we have is the now moment. So we start to discover words that exist in the past. And we know language is powerful. All those negative words, could, should, would, need, want. These are frequencies. You must be very mindful what comes out of your mouth. Future words, could, may, shall, to, tomorrow, must. There are also things called poison prefixes. All words that start with A, D, A, G, A, M, L, A, L, A, S, A, F, I, N, I, I, G, I, M, I, L, I, R, for, un, re, pro, pre, pro, and poison suffixes. Things that end with ed are in the past, ly like apply and supply. So you can learn syntax and you can learn how to navigate yourself in this world, in fact. You can. So that's kind of the good news. So you can change venues. Excuse me. You can change venues. You can bring yourself over into a venue of fact and take responsibility for your own learning and learn how to navigate your own vessel. When you move into a venue of fact, your jurisdiction is higher than the government's. Yep. Yeah, it's great news. Yeah, there are people around that accuse everyone of being pirates, but, you know, it's up to you with your discernment to see if something feels right, and if it feels right and it vibrates in a way that makes sense to you, then you move with it.